Hey, what up, YouTubers? This is Chris Moyer, my channel Bear Christ 35, and I just came across an article today in the Yahoo Finance. I actually first heard about this a couple years ago. It had to do with a initiative that Facebook was taking to develop a technology that would actually allow you to type with your brain, with your mind. Somehow that was something that was a stated goal of theirs, was to develop this technology where you could just basically think thoughts and they would automatically appear on the computer screen. And a couple of years ago that seemed crazy, like how could that possibly happen? And I actually shared it on Facebook, and I got a number of people that were like, oh, that's just a made-up story, or it's clickbait, or it's not, it's a made-up story, basically. It's not authentic, not really from Facebook. They didn't think that Facebook was really doing that. And now it's been like a couple of years since then, and just today, as I was checking my stock account, I read the news, and I read that Facebook was actually purchasing a company called CTRL-Labs for between $500 million and $1 billion. And their stated goal, CTRL-Labs, is to develop software, and they have a bracelet that they're working on that measures neuron activity in a subject's arm and turns it into, like, I don't really know how far they are in the process of transforming neural signals to actual words, but it's definitely something that they're working towards. And I was reading up a little bit more about it, and the gentleman from Facebook, who is the vice president of augmented reality and VR, his name is Andrew Bosworth. And oh, by the way, today is the 24th of September 2019. He said that technology like this has the potential to open up new creative possibilities and reimagine 19th century inventions in a 21st century world. He also said this is how our interactions in virtual reality and augmented reality can one day look. It can change the way we connect. So I was thinking about that a little bit. And maybe for some people, maybe they have really good control over their thoughts, and they can create a whole document, a whole book, or a paper, or a journal, or whatever they want to write, just by thinking it out. But I would think that the average person doesn't have that much control over their thoughts, that if it's just raw thoughts coming out of your mind, that you might not always think what you're intending to write or whatever. Like for me, I know when I write, I take time to deliberate on what the topic is, and I like to think about it, and then I'll write some, and then I'll go back and I'll edit a little bit. And it seems to me that the idea that you could just think a thought or think a sentence and it would just appear on the page, that if that were the case, that sometimes you might think sentences that were not a really good part of the document, like it'd be a little disorganized, even chaotic. And then how would you edit that? Like, would you think, oh, go back, one paragraph and delete the whole paragraph? I just don't know how that would work. But maybe I've heard that the brain is it's very malleable, and it can change, like the structure of the brain can change based on the inputs that it has. And we know that this works with like paraplegics, people that can't move their hands or whatever. They've been given brain-computer interfaces where they've actually been able to control limbs, or surf the internet just using their mind. And that in itself is quite an achievement. But thinking words and writing out documents just using your mind, and by the way, Facebook says their goal is to do it at 100 words a minute. That's a lot of words per minute. That's way faster than I can type. I type about 50 words a minute or 40 words a minute. And that's with thinking it through and deliberating on what I'm going to write. And if the words are just coming out of my mind based upon thoughts, I don't know. I have a hard time imagining that would be something that would be easy to do is to do a beginning, a middle, and end, structure your work in a particular way, just using the raw thought, like whatever came to your mind at the moment. I also read, it says Facebook has been working on a direct brain interface for several years. It could take tech-enhanced communication to the next level, literally inside someone's thought process. Now, that's a little scary. Do you really want Facebook in your deepest thoughts? Do you want them to be perceiving everything that you're thinking? Or Google or any of those big corporations? Let's say, in the future, 15, 20 years from now, what if our government becomes corrupt and somehow takes control of these companies? Or what if these companies submit to the government and our government becomes corrupt and they want to make sure that everyone is thinking right? That's a little scary. I mean, North Korea, they're very, they want their citizens to think and act right, and if they think anything that's treasonous within their own homes, they can be killed for it, because they spy on their citizens and all sorts of things. But I would really hate to see that come to America, to the United States. But if we have the technology, then if some turn of events causes the government to eventually turn on its citizens, or to kind of control the United States for their own benefit, I just don't see that as being a good thing. If they have that technology, and people submit willingly to that technology and actually have their brains changed by the surgery that is done. I've heard it's a very minimally invasive surgery. Elon Musk over at Neuralink is talking about how their technology, and he's also trying to get a brain interface that connects brains to the computer so that we don't get left behind by artificial intelligence. And that too, that could be a real problem. Let's see. So basically, on the Facebook, it's the Facebook Reality Labs division, which is designing a hands-free pair of augmented reality glasses. So Facebook is doing that, and that's part of their stated goal. But also, as far as the CTRL-Labs, Andrew Bosworth again says, here's how it will work. You have neurons in your spinal cord that sends electrical signals to your hand muscles, telling them to move in specific ways, such as to click a mouse or press a button. The wristband will decode those signals and translate them into a digital signal your device can understand, empowering you with control over your digital life. Now, I'd like you to think about this. If this technology really comes out, if they achieve their stated goal, and this is one of the goals and dreams of transhumanists ever since they started dreaming of transcending the human body and becoming cyborgs or whatever. If we had some kind of a digital telepathy, or technologically based telepathy, where we could read each other's thoughts and send thoughts to another individual, I don't know about you, but I sometimes have thoughts that I don't want other people to know. I mean, it's my private thought, and if it's out there, I might not be the best person in the world. I might have negative thoughts about someone, or have an initial impression that's oh, this or that. And if I think about it, I can weed out those thoughts, and I can be all right, this is the appropriate behavior for having that thought, and I can deal with that thought as it is. Thoughts are real, but we don't have to manifest them by turning them into words and actions. Because in the past, I've incredibly struggled with thoughts, because I'm bipolar, and I've had horrible experiences of not being able to control my thoughts, and having evil thoughts and dark thoughts and chaotic thoughts. And a lot of people that have mental illness have unwanted thoughts. Would we really want our thoughts to be known to the world and to other individuals if let's say it becomes a requirement that everyone does this brain-computer interface, so that the government can get into our brain and make sure that we're thinking the right thoughts? It's like Minority Report, where they have a division that predicts future crimes before they happen, and actually prosecute people before they're about to do their crimes. I could see something like that happening. if Facebook achieves its role and its goal, and Elon Musk and Neuralink achieve their goal of a BCI, brain computer interface, that actually does transmit the thoughts of the human mind, the human brain, no one's safe. If government turns against us, or if they have some kind of, let's just say, I'm a Christian, right? So ultimately, I believe that there will come a time, I don't know if it's in my lifetime, but it could be, that there would be a singular power, a world government, where all the nations will join together under the leadership of one man and one power, and that's the Antichrist world system. That's the beast world system. And if that happens, or some individual comes to power who has access to all the technology, he could then go, perhaps even change our thoughts. If we're like connected, maybe there's some way he could hack into our minds and alter our very thoughts, and that's a very scary thing. So it might be all bells and whistles at the beginning, where we're all like, oh, this is so cool, I know what you're thinking, and you don't even have to say it. It's like, all right, I think this, you think that. Now we're on this telepathic plane where we're like basically having a mind orgasm. And I can see how that would be a very something that appears very attractive on the surface, but ultimately I think our freedoms could be wiped away. The more information that we have in our head, that we allow the government or big companies to know about us, the more they can control us. And I've noticed that with ads too. And ads are relatively harmless. I don't mind ads being targeted to my interests and my desires. Sometimes I'll have a conversation with my wife about something, and then it's like, I swear it feels like Google is listening, because we have a Google Home Mini, and then I'll go on the internet and that very topic will pop up, or I'll be talking to someone about this, and then this topic will pop up on an internet search, and I'm sure that's probably happened to you. And a lot of times we may just put it off as like, it's just a coincidence. But, Facebook and Google and Microsoft, all the big companies, data is a big thing. Social media data, our posts, all of that information goes into a central computational cloud, a computer cloud, where all of our past posts are stored. If you wrote something like, 5 or 10 years ago, that may be seen by others as being cruel or threatening or whatever, I guess they could probably go back into the past and judge you for your behavior 10 or 15 years ago. I know sometimes the media love to do that to people that are politicians. They go back 40, 50 years and look at one comment they made and be like, oh, you said this back then, and you're not worthy of being a president or a governor or a mayor or whatever. Just imagine how that would be altered if we could somehow see into the minds of politicians, or if they could see into our minds. Anyway, I just felt like I would expound on this topic, and I think a lot about transhumanism. I've been kind of interested in what they're thinking and what they're doing, and at some degree, it does seem kind of appealing to transcend our human nature and merge with machines and become cyborgs, or let's say upload our mind to the cloud and then transfer that mind to a avatar where we can go and have special abilities and essentially live forever. But I kind of have another perspective on that. Human life is great and it's nice. I enjoy human pleasures, worldly pleasures, but ultimately there's something about this world that I find insufficient for a fully joyous and happy and peaceful and meaningful life. And for me, that life is in Christ, that life is in God, that life is in having a hope that is beyond this world. And my hope is in heaven. My hope is in God, and this idea of a perfect paradise. And I think everyone has that idea of a perfect paradise. They think that this would be a perfect paradise, or if they had this kind of a living condition, this would be a perfect paradise. But I know money doesn't do it. People that have amassed billions and billions of dollars, that doesn't necessarily make them happy. Some people are, some people spend their time in works of philanthropy, and that doesn't necessarily make people happy. Look at Mother Teresa. Like she served the Indian community for all those years, and from what I understand, she was pretty had a lot of anxiety, and I don't know if she felt maybe guilty or before God or whatever, but I've heard that she was kind of had a lot of trouble with anxiety. And me personally, like, there have been really times that I felt, this world is not my home, and I look to the next life, and I hope that my hope is not misplaced, and I don't think it is. I think the complexity of the universe and the diversity of human life and all animal life and plant life and the stars and the cosmos and everything. It's like a beautiful symphony written by a beautiful musician. Like, God is just like the ultimate musician, the ultimate architect. Like, the music of the spheres, all the planets work seamlessly with the stars and the galaxies and the black holes and the nebulae and the giant dwarfs, or the dwarf stars, and the supernovas, and DNA and cellular life, RNA, mitochondria, cell division. I mean, there are so many things that are so freaking complex, so amazingly complex. There's just no way that I could ever imagine that this is something that just popped into existence. And yet most evolutionists will tell you that's exactly what happened, that the Big Bang proves that we came from nothing. The universe popped into existence from nothing, where there was no time, no matter, no space, no energy, but it just willy-nilly, just by some kind of quantum law or quantum occurrence, we have these little bits and pieces of energy popping in and out of existence until finally some big boom happens, and here's the universe billions and billions of years later. And I haven't completely made my mind up on whether the universe is old or young, but I think the evidence points to a young Earth and a young universe. But let me get back to the topic I was talking about before. Just I don't think I would want people to know my thoughts. I don't want to know theirs either, and I'd rather experience from them what is their what they have thought through and reasoned and come to some kind of a decision about. All right, this is what I'm going to say at this point. This is the most appropriate thing to say in this situation, and I would like to get to that point too in my own life, where I'm able to say to myself, all right, this is the appropriate thing. This is the appropriate loving and kind thing that I can say in this situation, being tactful and sensitive to the needs and cares of others. And I know I've fallen far short of that, and I think part of that is just the way my mind works. It's just hard for me to perceive sometimes where people's boundaries are and where their sensitivities lie. And I've been short with others at times and a little judgmental, and I'd like to get to the point where I'm more accepting and loving of others, and have a better control over what I say and what I do. But ultimately, I guess the world is rushing headlong after this technology to bring humans mind control over machines and mind control over computers, which could eventually lead to mind-to-mind communication. And in some senses, I think it's a great thing. Like, I think for people that are paralyzed, that can't move their arms or legs, and having something that they can think, where they can think a thought or a word and have it come on a screen. I think that is really amazing, but I'm cautious, and I'm a little leery about what that kind of technology could do if used by the masses. Well, it's about 20 minutes into this video now. I think I'm going to stop there and upload this to YouTube. And if you have any comments or questions, I would love to hear them. Would you rather live as a, for all intents and purposes, an immortal human being in a computer simulation like the internet? Say you could upload your mind to the cloud like many of the transhumanists dream about. If that could happen, would you rather upload your mind to the internet and fulfill every fantasy, every desire that you've ever had, with no thoughts of or repercussions or anything like that? Or would you rather spend eternity in the presence of the one that created you, and spend your time walking with him and talking with him and worshiping him with other believers, making beautiful music, creating things, going on adventures, journeys, exploring the universe together? That is my idea of heaven, and I would infinitely rather have the real heaven than some kind of artificial heaven that's created through technology or holograms or whatever. All right, so it's 21 minutes. I went on and on, didn't I? All right, I'm going to stop there. I love you guys. Hopefully I'll post another video soon. All right, God bless. Bye-bye.